I've had the time of my life. I've never felt this way before. It must be true, and I owe it all to you. I've had the time of my life, and I've never felt this way before. Oh, you are gonna hurt me unless I give you chicken after this. I've had the time of my life. And have you ever felt this way before? But you know it's true. You saved me as much as I saved you. I'm Joe Renton with the retro review of Dirty Dancing from 1987. Hi. This is Sir, by the way, the producer and Adopt Don't Shop, and I wanted to bring him on for this intro. And he is really not very happy with me currently. But yes, Dirty Dancing from 1987, one of the best dance-themed movies of the 1980s, arguably one of the best dance-themed movies of the last 40 years, possibly, maybe, yes, could be, sorta, probably. Patrick Swayze, may he rest in peace, one of his best goddamn roles and started the upswing on his career. Granted, there was Red Dawn. Actually, a little more on Red Dawn here in just a little bit. But this was directed by Emile Ardolino, who did Three Men and a Baby, as well as Sister Act and The Nutcracker, and unfortunately passed away in 1993. Rest in peace, director of this pretty much, barn burner of a classic. Yes, I actually enjoyed Dirty Dancing. I know, shocking, isn't it? Yes, this movie even still got through my black heart, such as it is. It was written by Eleanor Bergstein, who did Let It Be Me, and actually has not done, I don't think she's done like anything since then. I don't know why. I mean, this wasn't the, fucking Shakespeare. It wasn't, anything high class. It was a standard love story, simple, cliche even, but the goddamn soundtrack is infectious. It'll even have you plucking on your heartstrings, which probably is a serious medical condition and a condition you probably should get checked out. But yes, Jennifer Grey, aka Baby, aka Frances, as she reveals later on, is in the summer of 1963 going with her father. Yes, the late great Jerry Orbach, who plays Jake, not from State Farm, but he's a doctor. And Jerry Orbach is fantastic in this, by the way. And while going to this weird dance posh club thing, a bunch of dancers show up. Possibly those kinds if you pay them enough, including Johnny Castle. Johnny Castle. It just sounds like somebody that you would see like as a mini boss in Final Fight. Yeah, I know. How's that for a goddamn deep cut? But yes, Patrick Swayze. One of his best goddamn roles. You have Cynthia Rhodes as Penny. You have Jack Weston as Max Kellerman. Not that one, not the sports analyst. And then you have Jane Bucker and Kelly Bishop. And even Wayne Knight in a brief role. Yes, Wayne Knight, before he got spat on. Before he got in the face from a bunch of dinosaurs. Probably should have led with that to make it even weirder. But yes, the guy that, no one cares. That guy. And yeah, from Seinfeld also. For those of you that like Seinfeld. I don't, but that's just me. Probably due to the fact that Jerry Seinfeld is a creepy bastard. Though, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I don't know who wouldn't. So, we get the high fives as we see the rock and rollin' in the Catskills. Can I do Beck? No, I can't. I could barely do the Joe Cocker version, part of that song. But nobody puts Baby in a corner. So many iconic lines. Such a goddamn great, bit, like from beginning to end. How dare you, Dirty Dancing? How dare you still get to me after 38 years? I have actually not watched this movie in full in about, I'd say, 15 to 20 years. But, yeah, there we go. So, anyway, just 1 second, folks. I'm going to be right back. So, yes, folks, I had to let the producer out. He's going to probably go hunt and punish me by bringing a dead animal. Almost a dead carcass, and it actually would have been, quite frankly, the same thing. But yes, Dirty Dancing. Let's continue this. So it has a $6 million budget. I would imagine at least a quarter of that went to the goddamn music. They had a lot of classic songs. They had a lot of contemporary songs. Also the classic Cars. Even in 1987, it probably would have been difficult to get those. That would be $17 million today. $3.9 million opening, $11 million a day, $64.5 million U.S. gross, has $183.1 million in today's money, $214.5 million worldwide, $609 million today. $609 million. I think it just said $609. The whole point is that whether that's re-releases or not, this movie made a mint. It made a lot of goddamn money. And fun fact, Jennifer Grey did not care much for Patrick Swayze. They did not get along that well on the set of Red Dawn in 1984, but Patrick Swayze felt she was going to be really good for this role. He was right. And even though they had patched things up, there was still tension, and they're like the writer and director, I believe, got together and showed them, like, you know, the early stuff of them doing their, I believe, their pitches, you know, their pitches or auditions, whatever it is, the first, like, little bit, like, you know, to get set for doing the movie later, whatever the terminology is. And they saw they have really good chemistry, let's get along. And I'm guessing that they ended up patching things up fully because, you know, Patrick Swayze, unfortunately, has not been here on this earth for about 16 fucking years at this point. That's hard to believe. But we start off with Be My Baby, which was a song that was ruined by Barbarian. For those that know, they know. And Big Girls Don't Cry. It's a great song. Summer of 1963, not the summer of 69, where Bryan Adams, by the way, was 4 or 5 years old when that song came out, but I think he's about that old. So the vintage houses, the vintage cars, Kellerman's Camp for Morons. You know, for those of you that, I thought it was actually in Sleepaway, or the Sleepaway Camp location. But fun fact, this is supposed to be in the Catskills, which is in New York. This was filmed in, I believe, North Carolina. It was filmed in a lake in North Carolina and a lake in Virginia. While Sleepaway Camp, that cost significantly less than this, was actually filmed at a camp in New York. And that just doesn't compute to me for some reason. But Orbach's voice is very distinct. Like, you cannot, there's no debating that. That is Lenny. That is Lenny, not of Mice and Men, but from goddamn Law and Order. There's a Tito Suarez, the character Tito Suarez, who, you know, is a conductor but also does tap dancing. I wish I had a fraction of the talent that tap dancers have. And who are they? Oh, they're dance people. They're here to keep the guests happy. As, what the fuck was his goddamn name? You have, Neil. I've read such a nerdy name, such a slimy name. I mean, Lottie Price was great in that role, but God, he's such a slime ball. And the dancing's very good. Patrick Swayze actually apparently insists on doing his own stunts and actually hurt his knee and was having to get fluid taken out, which, yeah, that's some dedication right there. Yeah, Wayne Knight is a comedian. And bless Wayne Knight, he's still with us and still doing pretty well. And a lot of horny ass people at this weird at the dance house, which just, it seems like a freaking orgy all the time. And how does Baby introduce herself to Johnny? Who are you? Oh, baby, I carried a watermelon. That is just, if that isn't the indication of love, I don't know what is. Yeah, teach baby how to dance. Not teach me how to dance or take the lead. Not that song. Penny, who is associated with Johnny, part of the dance troupe. The idea is, oh, they're together. Well, they're actually not together, but Johnny cares about her because it turns out she got knocked up by a guy named Robbie that is very, very... The guy does a very good job as Robbie, but man, he's a creep. Again, Lonnie Price, such a great goddamn sleazeball. And Penny thought that there was something special with Robbie, but now she wants to get the pregnancy terminated. It's going to cost a whole lot of money, like $250, which, God, that would be about $700 now, according to the inflation calculator. They're about $675, $700. Robbie is just such a creep. He's talking about possibly getting together with baby sister Lisa. And so on. And they pack a lot into this, actually. See, that's the thing. This movie once the credits start rolling, I think it's like an hour and 37 minutes. And that's with the opening credits. So it's 141 and opening and ending credits included. And if you just want to stay just a little bit longer, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for trying to do the singing. The idea, though, is Penny cannot do this because this pregnancy is getting worse. Evidently, it's getting worse. It's getting worse literally by the minute in this movie. And they're only going to be there for like a weekend or a week or something like that. I forget exactly what it is. But the idea is that Baby is going to step in and do the dancing. But she doesn't even know the merengue and that kind of stuff. But Penny says, Johnny, you're a strong partner. You can lead anybody. And how dare you, Dirty Dancing? How dare you still be just as great as you were years ago? Actually, I like this movie a lot more than I did before. Maybe it's just because I'm getting less of a black heart in my old age. And at one point, we get he teaching the dancing, let the training begin. Hungry Eyes by Eric Carmen, who turned out to be a crackpot and everything. So great song, but fuck it. I don't fucking care that he's dead. And no, not the vintage Chevy that Johnny punched a hole in to get his keys because he's a fool. You probably could have picked the lock, but I digress. And Dancing on the Log, that's where Patrick hurt his knee. And was having to get fluid drained from it, but insisted on doing all that stuff. And I noted at one point when they were doing the water training to do the lift, I said, oh, geez, water cold enough there for you, Jennifer? Good Lord. She could have fucking cut glass with those goddamn things. I would have expected her to be able to cut a fish out of a goddamn ice lake. Nevertheless, so the dance goes a little bit rough, but she does end up getting it because she's getting good at it. Meanwhile, her dad, by the way, is not aware that any of this stuff's going on. Penny did actually end up getting visited by a doctor thanks to the fact that Baby decided to talk to her dad to help to basically get the money and everything because Robbie wasn't going to do his stuff. And Penny didn't want to accept it. But she wants to continue her dancing. She doesn't want this baby. I mean, and you can keep your opinions about termination to your goddamn selves if you don't agree with it because it's a woman's prerogative and it's her right to choose. But she got visited by a quack that got it out, but let's just say it wasn't all that, pain-free. And Baby ends up getting her dad, shows up. He takes care of her, but he finds out, oh, is that why you needed the $250 to help her out? Well, I didn't realize that you lied to me. Understandable, he's not necessarily happy with her, but she is also kind of restrained, and he is a well-intentioned guy. And I'm not saying, by the way, that Jennifer Grey's character is perfect. She should have been straight with it, but also she has not. This also was the 60s, where girls were not going to be speaking out as much. And you can't stop the young love. So naturally, her and Johnny get together. And the dad wants to leave early, but Lisa wanted to sing in the talent show or the ending show or whatever the fuck it is. And put them right out there. Good goddamn grief, she put them right out there at the end. And what is Baby's real name? It's Frances. I told you that before, but she tells Johnny that. And then so Robbie is like, oh, I'll get, it's like Robbie's like, trying to get with Lisa. And Lisa's like, maybe I'll just give it up to Robbie. It's like, oh, you don't like it because Dad's listening to me and everything. You're not Daddy's little girl anymore. I'm like, she's probably trying to make sure you don't get pregnant by a creep that won't take care of you. And then she stands up for him finally. He ends up standing up for her. He punches out Robbie, who had it coming, who probably should have gotten his nose broken, if we're being perfectly honest. Like, he really didn't deserve to fucking walk out under his own power, if we're being honest. But Johnny basically ends up getting, he will get his summer bonus if he leaves quietly. And the dad's not too happy that she's with him, but there's the point where she pours her heart out to her dad. That's a really good scene. There's a lot of really good stuff they pack in here at the end. Yes, it's silly, it's simplistic, it's cliche, but it works because it holds up. People can say rose-tinted glasses. Guys, some movies just hold up. You could argue Field of Dreams would have rose-tinted glasses. You could argue The Natural would have rose-tinted glasses. Two totally different movies compared to this, but come on. I mean, this is better than Footloose. This is better than Flashdance, because there's actual heart to this. There's not much to that stuff. There's fun music. But she basically pours her heart out to her dad, as I said. And then there's this idea that, okay, Johnny turns down this money that this other guy was paying him to sleep with his wife, basically. Because I guess he just enjoys being cucked, as it were. I'm a 44-year-old man referring to it as that. Johnny turns it down. He's found out about spending time with Baby. And then we get the thing where this wallet's stolen and Johnny's blamed. But, oh, Johnny actually didn't do it. It was this couple called the Schumachers. And how dare it be still endearing after nearly 40 years, as I noted. Dad's going to give Robbie something, about medical school. And then Robbie says, yeah, that whole thing about me and Penny or whatever. It's like, I thought she told you, and he takes the money back, which is great. That's good shit. That's quite frankly the least that Robbie deserved. And then there we go. We get the line, nobody puts Baby in a corner. One of the most iconic lines there. I would argue this probably has the most one of the most memorable closing sequences of at least the last 40 years as far as this type of movie. Because, you got Time of My Life, you got the lifting up, it's good shit, everybody's dancing, everybody's having fun, and he, Dad even says to Johnny, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. You looked great out there, or you looked beautiful out there, or you looked happy out there. You looked like you were thrilled, Miss Gray. Why he is that accent, I don't know, and there we are. They're dancing, everything's happy. I assume they're going to end up together. Well, okay, maybe not now so much, but let's just end on a happy note and just say that Dirty Dancing still holds up 38 years later. What do you think of Dirty Dancing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. Until we dance again, happy trails to you.